have to have a level of insanity because, you know, you're going to keep pushing and keep pushing, and people want to tell you no, and you need to do this. They're going to keep throwing loopholes because they don't want to see you win. And I keep saying they. It's just the outside forces. That's what I mean by they. It's just outside forces.
Yeah.
And all it is, what's really happening when you conquer all of that, it's just really building character. Because at the end of the day, you have to have you got to be of a certain pedigree. And if you have to develop that emotional toughness, that emotional stability, because you hear so many no's, it could get you mad. You can get angry at times, but you got to know, like, all right, I'll just pivot on this. You got to learn the word pivot. You got to know when to pivot and when to double down. But quit can't be in the vocabulary at all.
We'll discuss race and how it plays a factor, and how we didn't even talk about this topic because we were afraid.
A Black Executive Perspective.
We are coming to you live from the new BEP studio for another thought-provoking episode of a Black Executive Perspective podcast, a safe space where we discuss all matters regarding race, culture, and those uncomfortable topics people tend to avoid. I'm your host, Tony Tidbit.
And I'm your co-host, Chris P. Reed. Before we get started, we always want to begin by giving a shout out to our partners at Code M Magazine, whose mission is saving the Black family by first saving the Black man. Check them out at CodeMMagazines2Ms.com.
Yes, definitely check them out, and check out today. We have Anthony, Patrick, and Quasi from AKCRU, and they're here to share with the raw, unfiltered, original story of how they created AKCRU and built it from frustration, culture, and connection. We're going to dig into the aha moments, their roles as co-founders, and how their unique journeys shaped the product the culture didn't even know it needed.
That's exactly what's going on. So I would just want to welcome you, Anthony, Patrick, Quasi, to a Black Executive Perspective podcast.
I'm Anthony.
Thanks for having us.
I know it's the three of us, but I'm Anthony.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Thanks for having
us.
No doubt.
So just so we clear though, just to make sure we're on the same page, Anthony, your name is on the screen, bro. so everybody can see it. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, let's qualify. Everybody literate. Everybody literate.
They can't read. All right, or they're blind, right? And it could be. All right, maybe.
Let that man cook.
Where, maybe my name don't show up. So that's what
no, you all good though, bro. But listen,
buddy, I love it.
Guys, we're so excited that you guys are here. You guys are breaking through, putting something together that's going to, and again, I don't want to make this hyperbole, but that's going to, take over from a streaming app standpoint. I can't wait for you guys to share this story, the stuff that you already did with colleges and stuff to that nature, and then all the different things you're bringing to the table from different divisions of AKCRU. So, at the end of the day, we're just, like I said, excited that you're here.
So before give me a little bit of where you are and what you got going on, a little bit of family background, just to get a baseline of who your brothers are. So since we know how Anthony get down, Anthony, we're going to start with you. Where are you currently located? Give us a little bit of family dynamics.
I'm actually located in Jamaica, Queens, St. Albans, to be exact. If you know anything about Queens, just like the last town before you get to Long Island. So very residential neighborhood. Family came from the West Indies. I'm Guyanese. Came in when I was a kid. Learned my first English words here. But I can speak Guyanese fluently. You do get asked Pat. I get crazy sometimes. But, really regular upbringing, both two-parent home. Learned a lot, saw a lot, had a lot of guidance as far as, what works and what kind of gave me direction. So like I said, I came from a two-family home, both mom and dad here, brothers and sisters. So I really had a really strong upbringing as far as a sense of direction. And it led me to make a lot of the choices in my life. So, that's where I am now.
Got you. Appreciate that. Patrick, give me the same thing.
Oh, man, I come from humble beginnings, Haitian parents, just rough. That's all I can say. Queens, New York, born and bred.
Okay.
Love for family, love for sports, love for entertainment. And I've known Anthony since, we grew up together. Played football. We literally box with each other now. no headgear. So if you ever see us with marks on our faces, because we probably punch each other in the mouth. Um, but yeah, we linked up through fitness, through sports, through entertainment, and we got into the television production, and we end up forming a crew. So this is pretty much where we are right now.
And Quasi, same thing for you.
Yeah. I'm from Queens, but I live in Long Island now.
Okay.
Grew up in Queens, rough neighbor. I actually grew up in Jamaica, Queens. Um, and as he said, I met Anthony through my ventures of, I used to be a videographer. Well, I still do videography, but
Mhm.
I was into music videos and met up with Anthony, and we all just collaborated, and it was just poetry.
Well, this will be magical because the only thing I know about Queens is that's where Prince Hakeem went for his wife in coming
Ah,
to America. So,
right.
so this
Buddy, I
is
was gonna say they're the new version of Run DMC,
right.
okay? Because they
All
all from
right. I ain't mad
Queens,
at that.
you know what I'm saying? From
I ain't mad at
Hollis,
that.
right? That's what I'm hearing,
I'm LL
okay?
Cool K.
Yeah, I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah,
I
that's me.
love it. I love it. I love it. So my Run DMC team, all right, the new version. Why did you get? Look, let's be fair here. You guys, all jokes aside, you guys are blowing up. You're on a lot of different platforms. You're traveling all over the world. You're meeting people, making stuff happen. Why did you want to come on a Black Executive Perspective podcast, talk about this topic? I'm gonna start with you, Quasi, first.
Well, honestly, Tony, I mean, you the man that we wanted to talk to. I mean, you got the platform that's really shaking, so it's like it was only right that we made a stop here to talk to the brothers.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be right without doing that.
I love it, buddy. I love it, man. Anything you want to add, my brother?
Pretty much what the guys were saying. It's only right that we stop in and tell our story on this podcast because we saw some of your previous stuff, and I was like, man, they're not afraid to say the stuff that we want to say, which is directly in line with who we are as black founders of a crew, and forgive our honesty. So it only makes sense. It only makes sense.
Awesome, my friend. So, my brothers, you guys ready to talk about it?
Oh yeah.
Let's
Let's
go.
get into it.
All
Do
right,
it.
so let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
So based on the conversation we've had thus far, the origin story goes beyond just a business, right? This is bigger than business. You guys was cool enough to decide you wanted to connect and do something legit, and created a crew, AKCRU. Can y'all one of you give me the spark or the inflection point? Whereas somebody had the idea and somebody said that's crazy, and they're like, no, we could do it, and then it kind of went from there. What was that? What was that birth moment?
Optimist. I mean, it's too long, but
Okay.
Give it to
It was,
us.
it was a
Shorten
long
it
birth.
up,
It was
though.
a long. It was a
But
long
talk to
labor.
it.
It was a long labor, huh?
Go ahead.
We'll give you the short version of the long story. So, as you guys know, we're television producers or former television producers, and we worked in the television space. We worked for Al Roker Entertainment. Al Roker, the weatherman. So we were all there creating shows and making shows for Al Roker, and one of our shows got stolen. It was our show, the same cast, the same talent. The only thing they did was change the name. So what happened was when
And
that
they
happened,
changed
we had
one
gotten a
host.
phone call. Somebody said, "Yo, come," and they changed one host. Yes, and we had gotten a phone call. Somebody was congratulating us, like, "Yo, we see that you got your show on the air." We were like, "What show? We didn't get a show on the air." But then when they sent us the trailer and we saw it, it was literally our show. And I know you hear people say that in the industry, like, "Oh, somebody stole my." No, it was the exact same shows, talent, everything except one host. So we went to our lead producer at the time, and we was just like, "Yo, what are you guys gonna do about this?" And they said, "No, there's nothing you can do. If you say something, you're gonna ruffle feathers, and you guys are not gonna be able to work in the industry or like if you want to present to that network again." And we were like, nah, like you can't do that.
So you can just steal somebody's stuff and you
Yeah.
got to be quiet about it, right?
Pretty,
Or if you don't be quiet about it, you get blackballed. That's what I'm hearing. That's what he said.
Pretty
pretty
much
much.
that's what it
Pretty
was.
much.
That's pretty much what it was. And so I'm gonna pick up from here. So um Pat, he had an idea, like he was like, yo, we need to just make our own streaming platform. And I also had we kind of like after that situation, we kind of like separated for a couple of months, and I was thinking about making my own platform, and Pat was thinking about making his own platform, and we just like, I'm like, hold up, we could come together and do something. And I was like, but it can't just be simple. It just can't be another streaming platform because Netflix, Disney, everybody already have a streaming platform. So it was like, let's make sure that we add features on here that is original and unique to ours. And that's when we came up with a crew.
Let me ask a question. Who had to calm down the most out of the three of y'all?
Pat.
Y'all got jacked for y'all. Okay, Pat was that. He was Stay Ready All-Star.
Pat, 100%. 100% was Pat.
Okay, I appreciate you making it here, Pat. That shows a lot of maturity, and we need more of that. We need more of that. So any idea of, but for the people who might not be up on game and don't understand, they might not be technologists. What does a streaming platform do in essence, nutshell type stuff?
It's pretty simple. So years ago, you would have to have a physical medium to watch a movie, right? Particularly like you went from VHS, and then you went to beta, and then you went to DVDs, or and things like that.
Right.
The streaming is pretty much just the same content digitized in the cloud, and then it's pushed out to what you call OTP, like it's pushed out over the internet. So when you watch a video, it's pretty much just now digitized, it's stored in the cloud somewhere, and many people could watch the same movie at the same time. So that's all really streaming is, just a digitized content stored in the cloud, no different than music is now on Spotify and etc.
Gotcha.
So, buddy, talk to us a little bit. Quasi, you talked about, look, I hate, when I hear what happened, you guys had a show and it was about to launch and then somebody stole it. And then you don't even know about it. It reminds me and Chris was talking about this on one of our earlier episodes. It reminds me that, that happened to Bruce Lee. Okay. Bruce Lee created a show. Yeah, buddy. Bruce Lee created a show. Okay. He was going to be the star in it. Okay. It was called Kung Fu. What was it called? Kung Fu?
Yeah, it was. David Carradine.
Kung Fu.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Kung Fu. Okay. And then he was at home. The studio's like, we got it. We're going to launch this next week or next month, what case may be. He was at home. He turned the TV on. He see David Carradine walking across the sand.
Wow.
Snatching pebbles. Snatching pebbles.
And snatching pebbles. That was his show. He created it, whole 9 yards. Okay.
Wow.
So when I hear what happened to the brothers here, and then you can't say nothing. I mean, and look, you ain't the first, to be fair, all right? Because if they're doing that, they've done it a million times, right? So that's the standard operating procedure. But let me ask you guys this. You had this, an idea, thought it was going to go well. All of a sudden, they steal it from you. Now you got to get back together. Reminds me of you ever see the movie The Temptations?
Right.
When the manager, he had the woman manager, and she took the name, and everybody broke up, and then all of a sudden they came back. So talk a little bit about, when did you know? What was the early signs that you guys had something real? Everybody's got an idea, right? Everybody starts trying to put something together. But what was we got something, especially Anthony, when you just broke down what streaming is?
It's real simple. We knew we had something when they stole the show. We knew that. Seriously.
I mean, that's as simple as, there you go.
Follow the money.
We knew we were good enough to produce on our own. But Pat, and this is why I said Pat, and Pat said something to me one day, he's like, yo, we got to be in a position where they can't tell us no. And that was what really sparked us. Because we knew we had the chops to create at the next level, network level. But then we didn't want to have to go through the gatekeepers and the begging and the pitching. And we said, Pat told me, we were in the gym, he's like, yo, we got to create a position where they can't tell us no. He said nobody would never tell us no again.
Because they was telling us, hold on, and they was telling us no about stupid stuff, about a lady's arm being too fat in a scene.
Man, I forgot about that.
I'm not even making this stuff up. Like
Hold on. Tell us
is
the
just
story
too
though.
fat.
Tell us the story. So what was her arm in the? So talk a little bit about that.
It was a cake show, and we had like a young lady that she was
A little corpulent.
she
was healthy.
well built.
Yeah.
She was
Right.
well built.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with her.
Right.
The lead producer come to us. I don't know. Her arms are a little bit too big, and he had the same tone of voice, and I don't know,
Yeah.
man. His arms, her arms, man. And it was we was getting stuff like that, and it was just out of control. He might see this
And they
and,
didn't want to
and
do
get
nothing
mad.
because the lady. I mean, couldn't you just? That didn't make any sense. You could put somebody else's arm in it, right? I mean,
That is,
that was
I
that
mean,
so integral part of it that
it's not
we
even it's
can't
not
build a
even that
business.
it's not even that we want to put another arm in there. It's the fact that she makes cakes. What do you expect from a lady that makes
it's her
cakes?
Right,
shop.
right, right.
Like,
That's
It's her
insane.
shop.
That's
come on.
insane.
But
That's
let me
insane.
let me ask this though before we break down the meaning of the the company name. Is my experience, and I don't have as much experience as Tony because he in that New York scene, but I've been around folks thanks to him, and y'all tend to have creative differences quite a bit and be cool with it. So is this just the nature of creative differences, or was they just hating recreationally on y'all?
Oh,
I don't know.
they.
I don't know.
It's.
I,
There's
I, I
no
think it's a
answer.
combination of
Okay,
both.
got you.
I,
Because
I,
if
I think it's a combination of the two.
Okay, two things can be true. Yeah.
like I don't I
Absolutely
So
a
go
don't
ahead, Pat.
combination
When
of
you
the
say you think it's a combination of both,
two. Being in New York,
like what do
especially
you
as a
mean?
creative, like when you're in New York and you're creative, like you have that hustle in you, you have that drive in you, and you don't take no for an answer. So you're gonna hold your position. I'm gonna hold my position. And when you're creative, you're so passionate about your vision that you're really not gonna back
Hmm.
down. So if you guys are not at least going in the same direction, then there's gonna be total friction and you guys just gonna separate. If you guys can at least go in the same direction, there's a little give and take, but for the most part, if I see it one way and somebody else sees it another way, then you have total chaos and it's just not going to work.
Were you guys, piggybacking off Chris's point, were you guys all in lockstep in terms of your own creative vision?
Oh yeah.
For the
Okay.
most part,
So
yeah.
there was no friction between you guys in
I
terms of
mean for the most
what we
part,
should do. Yeah. So this was just more external in terms of your creative vision versus what they wanted or said they wanted or stuff that they wanted to make changes on. Is that correct?
100%.
Correct. Correct.
Got
Let
it.
me ask one more question, just to stay in the history just for a little bit. Was that the first show you guys had together collectively came up with, or was that your eighth show? Like, what kind of track record had you had, or what made them believe that? Did they believe it was you? Did they believe y'all had stolen it from somebody? What do you think? And I know it's conjecture at this point, but what happened to where y'all got to that point where they just blatantly jacked y'all for y'all stuff?
I mean, to be fair, they stole 2 of our shows.
There we go. That's what I was thinking. My grandma always say the first time you get caught ain't the first time you did it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So,
they stole 2 of our shows. So,
okay.
so it goes back to the point, like you were saying. It was never a matter of our ability. It was just
Right.
the matter of having the accessibility to get to the next step, and we felt we were being held back. We knew we were being held back, and because they were holding us back, that left opportunities for people to jack our stuff. So we just was like, look, we can't continue to allow this waiting on someone to give us permission. Like I always tell people, like, I don't need to beg you to be successful. So
Right.
once
Right.
that kind of kicked in, and Pat put the battery in my back, like, yo, Ant, no, nobody's not gonna tell us no one again. That set us on the mission to start building, like he said, the streaming platform, which led to AKCRU, and yeah, that's where we are now.
So break that name down for me.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Give me the ramifications
Tell
of
us what
the
a
acronym.
crew means, my friend.
Sure. So just as you see the word accrue, it literally means to earn over time, just like accruing, as well as a double entendre for accrue, where you can watch with a crew of your friends. So when you think about it, if you just look at it as most basic format, with Netflix or any popular streaming platform, is one person to many pieces of content. With the crew, it's many people to one piece of content. So what we were able to figure out is how to create that shared viewing experience. So it's real simple. You could be anywhere in the world. I could be the host, and I can invite different users that are currently on the platform to watch with me at the same time. So that's how the whole accrue and the accrue experience. Plus, you earn points and rewards, or basically accrue points and rewards for watching your favorite content. So that goes back to Kwasniak's point, which was how could that really be different besides streaming, right? So as you're watching, I don't know, Halloween or whatever you're into, you're earning points and rewards. and those points could then be transferred to in-app purchases. You could take it off platform externally. You could, share it with your other friends on the platform. So, and that was all Quasi because we gamified it, and he was real adamant about it. Like, we can't just be streaming. We got to have that thing. We got to have that thing that, nobody else could follow or copy.
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
So number one, I love it because obviously you have Netflix, you have Prime Video, all that. But what you put together was more in terms of an app base where people can they can go on a date, in other words, right? And invite somebody on this woman or dude on their phone can watch the same movie and eat popcorn at the same time. Exactly. And then they're accruing points for other type of stuff, correct?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Let me ask you guys this. What roles do all three of you play in, right? Because you guys are real cool, but obviously in Quasi, who's the one who's got the tech background? Who brought in talk a little bit about the roles that you guys both play, all three of you play, that made this union and be able to blossom a crew. Quasi, why don't you start off with that, my brother?
Oh, well, I call myself the architect because, I'm the tech guy behind the scenes. I handle the front end, the back end, whatever. Learned how to code in the past 4 years. And from there, it was just about adding the correct features, and with the leadership of Anthony and Pat, giving us more direction, it was just we just put it together real nice to where we had the watch party situated, we had the accruing the points situated, but Anthony was adamant about, like, all right, we could do all of this, but where are the people meeting? So we came up with the community, and that really sparked a lot of things to where now we he's laughing because he doesn't like
but my point is,
I was asking about it earlier. I was asking about it earlier. I told you I wasn't laughing.
The reason I'm laughing is because no one is a crew, right? And so you guys are definitely being true to the platform, right? Because if we're gonna name something, it's gonna be part of a crew, right? Exactly. So it's gonna be the crewminity and the crew popcorn and the crew. So I love it. But finish, and then I want to hear what's Patrick's role. Then we'll go to Anthony.
Yeah. So he with like I said, and then we came up with Flick Flirt inside of a crew to where you could actually link with other people online. You can meet a girl there, girls can meet guys there, guys can meet guys there, whatever you like,
Who came up with the name Flick Flirt?
Anthony.
That was a collective. I think that was a collective. Ant Kim was, throwing a bunch of names, and then we just, some things worked, some things didn't, but that was more of a collective, but Ant would just, throw the names at us.
Here's what Quasi's not telling you: building out the MIT ticket. He don't forget that part of the story.
Yeah. We had to get a ticket because it was like young lady that I'm dealing with, my fiance, she's a flight attendant, and she used to get mad at me because I used to be watching shows by myself. You know how that go. Like, she's away. I'm watching shows by myself. She catching an attitude like, "Oh, you don't watch Power without me," and all types of stuff. You know how this goes. And so it was like, "Yo, bro, I got to do something, man. We got to do something inside of this app to where I don't get in trouble anymore." So that's when the MIT ticket came into play. Like, I need to be able to send her an invite, and we'll call it a movie invite ticket. A MIT, and I'll send it to her, and she'll be able to accept it, and we could watch shows together. And that was that. It was just. It was.
You guys still gonna get married now? You guys still gonna get married now because of that, bro?
That's a different story. Let's skip over that.
Keep the family together.
So it solved one problem, but it didn't solve a bunch of other problems, right? That's what I'm hearing now. Oh, okay. Patrick, go ahead, buddy. What's your role?
I'm the chief content officer, so pretty much I'm in charge of all of the content that goes onto the app. I'm a huge movie buff. Uh, Ant will let you know that, we go back and forth when it comes to movie trivia, music trivia, all of that stuff. We just love it, love it, love it, love it. So, I'm a real big on the front end as far as what the people want to watch. Independent films, big budget films, big studio films. That's good. That's just my thing. Like I'm constantly watching TV, movies. And will ask me anything. What song was this movie in? And I'm like, don't insult me, man. Don't insult me like that. Like that's child's play. So, but yeah,
I love it.
my role. But as far as everything else, Ant will, he'll throw ideas at me, and we'll just talk about it. We'll hash things out. We do all of our fighting in the background. Nobody sees us fight. We do all our fighting in the background. We do all
Yeah,
arguing in the background, and
right.
after that, we come to some middle ground, and then we just delegate and tell everybody else, where we're going from there.
Awesome. Awesome. And that, real quick, buddy, what's your role?
Chief Everything Officer. I mean, that's really it, But the thing that I love more than anything else, I love going out there, talking to investors, talking about a crew. It's like having a cute baby, right? You want to show it off, and just raising money and keeping the vision there. And with my two partners, I trust them. So even if I come with a crazy idea, I know that they can streamline it and make it happen. So just really, just keeping the vision alive and having the team around to support them more than anything.
Let me ask you this. When you are creating something from scratch, because you guys have hit a lane or a vein that wasn't struck before, without having the visual aids or the complete thing built out, you have to be extremely expressive and maybe have storyboards or whatever the case may be. How hard was it for you guys to even, because you're kind of learning on the fly, you kind of manipulating and massaging as you go. So those early meetings, trying to get this thing together to display the baby, how difficult was that, and what challenges did you face as entrepreneurs coming up and trying to create something into an ecosystem that wasn't necessarily may not be ready for it?
I'll just give you a real quick overview. We have a personal credo amongst ourselves, without really getting too deep into it, where we have certain rules that we follow. But there's certain lines that we don't cross when it comes to how we deal with each other. So we have a saying that says, "Don't throw it all away over ego." So even if there's an idea that Kwasiak have or that I have or Pat have, it's 2 out of 3 supersede. That's it. It doesn't matter if I'm CEO, it doesn't matter if he's CTO, it doesn't matter, because the greater vision is the goal. So once we put those certain things in place, it minimized a lot of the things that we saw break companies up. Like, I'm CEO, everybody get the... No, it wasn't that. It was,
Right.
hey, there's 2-3 days, it's over. All right, well, just push it forward. That was it.
Yeah, that explains the community.
Quaz, you were going to say something?
Right.
Because, by the way, Pat can't say it, so anyway.
That's all right.
I just said it. I just said it. I've been practicing.
You've been practicing. I can see it too. I can see it in your neck movement. But when you're presenting this to, you talked about investors. You talked about making sure that this was set up to where people could see the vision realized. How hard is it to convince, or are you at the point where it's open for display, or how did you guys get to that point where, okay, not only is this in our head, but now we have it to where we can actually gain some following from it? When did that point happen?
That's a Kwasniak question.
Okay, cool.
It was a lot of pressure to where, it's like this. Anthony is the shooter. He's going out shooting, and I got to supply the ammo. And I can't give him a broken gun for him to go into this war that we're going to be going against, because it's a war out here, going out here to go get this funding. So it was really on making sure that he was comfortable with the product, making sure that Pat had his input, making sure that we were all good with the product at the end of the day, and making sure that I can complete it in a timely fashion, So after it was complete, and we felt like we had the MVP, the minimum viable product. After that, it was just like all guns are blazing.
What's the biggest lesson you guys have learned in that portion of the journey? Was there any rejection or feedback or something that y'all said we should have thought of that, or
I was
dang,
I was told that I wouldn't be able to complete the actual product. Like you
okay.
they was like, you can't do it.
You can't.
It's going to take you at least. He
Specifically
said
you.
it's going to take you at least 7 years to be a CTO to actually be able to learn how to code and things of that nature. And
Okay.
it's not
Wait,
about.
so
Go ahead.
an investor told you that, Quasi?
No, it was a person that was part of our team. Actually,
Okay, got it. Got
you
it.
know,
Got it. Got it. Got
yeah.
it. Got it.
I mean, you don't want to hear the things the investors said.
Well, yeah, we do want to.
Yeah,
Well, here's the
that's
thing,
it.
though. No, we do want to hear. And let me tell you why. Okay, let's be fair. Let's look at the screen here. All right, we got 3 brothers. Okay, that have come together and is building something that most people don't know nothing about. You guys created this. This is your baby. But to your point, now you want to scale it. And we want to get into what happened, because I know you did a beta test at colleges and stuff to that nature. But now you want to scale it. So now you got to go talk to the people, the dudes in the blue suits, okay, that got the money to be able to take you to where you want to go. And those are not easy for brothers of color. It's not easy for anybody, but especially, dudes with a orange hat on and dark sunglasses and a dude that's in a room with a fuzzy screen. Okay. So at the end of the day, I want to hear, the audience wants to hear, what was that journey like? And to Chris's point, what did you learn? But talk a little bit, because there's a ton of people out here that's, doing the exact same thing, trying to make it happen, right? Have a dream, see it. We know this can scale, blah, 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 but they don't get it across the finish line, or they give up before they get across this finish line because of all the venom that's spit at them and just the toughness it takes in the world to be able to try to raise funds.
And let me say this,
Go ahead, Chris.
too, before y'all jump into this. Just be mindful of the fact that, I don't know if y'all ever watched Shark Tank, but the percentage of brothers that's been on Shark Tank is like 4% of all of the people who've been on there. So y'all did a real life Shark Tank.
I'm telling
and that's
you,
what I'm trying to get
flat out,
y'all
flat
to
out.
express to the people, that it ain't easy, but if
It
you got
ain't
the
easy.
passion for it, this is what you got to go through. So just give us a little bit of that, just so they know it ain't for the faint of heart.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start with you have to believe before anybody else does. And I really mean that. Because we were told, you're not a real CEO. They told Kwasniak, it's going to take you 7 years. You can't build this. Why you? So we had investors actually tell us, like, well, if it could have been done, there's people much smarter than you. So
They would say that. They would say
literally
that.
said
No,
that
they
to
said
us.
that.
Like,
They said that.
yeah, like, there's people much smarter than you. So how do you, what makes you guys so special? This is when we didn't have the MVP and we were misinformed, and they told us just go out there with a pitch deck. And we did. And when we presented just a pitch deck, they laughed at us and slid it back across the table. Like, what are we supposed to do with this? We're like, yo, this is our idea. And they're like, nah. So then we had to go back, and then we had to do a family and friends round of funding. And that was really tough because we had absolutely no money. And I remember sitting at the edge of the bed, and I had called Optimus. And I was like, yo, what are we going to do? We need to build a prototype, at the time. And I said, well, if we don't do it, the dream is over. And I remember sitting on the bed, and I was up all night long. And I said, man, what am I going to do? And I had to, I don't know, swallow my pride or what the word is, or put on my big boy pants. But I started just dialing for dollars. And I literally called everybody that I knew in my phone that either had a business, family. This was our family and friends round. And it was like a Friday. And we started pounding the phone on Monday. And then the following Friday, we did our first family and friends round. And we raised about, $13,000 to $14,000 just pounding the phones.
Yeah,
How many people did you call?
How much people did we call? We probably reached out to about 20-something people, I would think.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Pat.
I was gonna say there's one important part that he left out when we did it. We did it in December. We did it at the absolute worst time that you could possibly do it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, people ain't got
And
no money around there. They
Yeah,
already
we did
spent
it
it for
1 week
Christmas.
before Christmas. It was 1 week before Christmas.
Yeah.
and everybody, they showed up and they showed out, and we were able to raise that money and get started. That's when the momentum started and we were able to start moving forward. But it was the absolute worst time that it could be done, but it was done.
And then how did you guys take it to, so you got the funding, friends and family, but how did you go to the next level? Because obviously you learned something from the first time, right? That I can't just show up with a pitch deck. I got to have something. So talk about, you got the money. What did you do with the money? And then what did you do next to go and start chatting with the big boys again?
Again, we built it. And this is where Kwasniak was extremely, extremely important, because we didn't have enough money to pay for a development team. Like you see a lot of times there's companies that go out and help build your app. You're talking $100, $200, $300,000 and things like that.
Right.
That. So Kwasniak literally learned the code, and we tried different things. And to be honest, the first half of building a crew was 100% on Quas, 100%. And me and Optimist joke about it, but there was times when the app would crash in the middle of the night, the whole app would turn purple. It was a horrible, horrible experience.
Oh man.
So the app turned purple, huh?
Instead of blue screen of death.
Yeah. It had a fever.
And just with alignment, the universe started lining us up with people that wanted to then help. They saw what we were doing and they were like, okay, we can help you along. And then we picked up a couple of guys that we met online and they started joining the team one by one. And Quad started slowly building his team to help him get over the hump in some of the spots. And like I said, once we actually built out the app and people started seeing it, that's when the naysaying, nobody was laughing anymore. It wasn't a joke anymore. It wasn't just three dudes running around with a piece of paper. And then, here's the thing I would say. Even when you get there, for us, they always made us do more. But in doing more is where we continue to grow. And no matter what they do with us, like, okay, what's your GTM? They're like, oh, you want to see our GTM? Watch this shit. You know what I mean? So it was always a situation where no matter what they threw at us, we were able to overachieve to the point where they just had to be like, yeah, all right, guys, let's all right, let them in. Let's go. Let's start working with them. Let's start pushing them forward, because we couldn't have been denied, and they knew it.
Before we get into the components of what you guys offer, how did you know which doors to knock on? Was that because of your previous life as producers, or because this seems to be an amalgamation of different areas, not just in the TV frame? So is there a book, or is there a website? Can you Google where to knock on doors if I'm building something that ain't nobody built before? Like, how did you guys get to that point? How did you get, seriously, because you don't want to have waste energy, right? You don't want to have, empty calories.
And
Go ahead,
Chris.
I was like, who was in charge of making sure we, knocking down the right things, or was it just a scatter, muzzle fire type situation? We just gonna hit anything moving?
It wasn't really a spray and pray. It was
Okay.
research. It was research.
Okay.
YouTube University.
Okay.
That we built it with ChatGPT.
Okay.
YouTube University. Asking questions, not being ashamed to say, hey, I don't know. Talking to people, getting, without asking for money, just asking for insight or, guidance or mentorship, things like that. But to answer your question directly, there was no one thing like we knocked on the door and it was like everyone there. No, it was just a, accumulation of different trial and error, basically.
Quasi, what were you going to say?
No, I was just saying Ant got that. He's very efficient in that category.
Got it. Final question on this segment. Then we want to dive in. We want you guys to walk through what is a group. So a new audience right now listening, they're hearing these three brothers that built something from the ground up, had a lot of different pushback, had all different type of challenges. And to be fair, I just want to put a pin here too as well. Even though you were taking a step forward, and they kept coming back at you about what about this, what about that, And you could have looked at that like they don't want to help us, right? Or they're blah, blah, blah. But also, a lot of times we have to grow as well, right? So those are opportunities because we're learning. You guys were learning, right? To be fair, right? That, and then they start throwing other things. So really, it could seem like they was trying to stop you. But at the end of the day, because you guys had, who's optimistic? Is Patrick's optimistic?
Optimist.
Optimist. I'm sorry,
Like
optimist. All
Optimus
right.
Prime.
But yes, I am
Optimist. Thank you.
optimistic.
But
I
you
am
guys had a good
optimistic as well.
attitude. Yeah, there we go, buddy. I thought something here, right? But you guys had a great attitude and said, you know what? Guess what? Okay, we'll learn that. We'll do that. And now you're at a level where you've learned so much. So based on that, what would you say to other founders, especially people of color, when it comes to raising capital? What nuggets would you share with them?
First thing is first, learn as much as you can. The information is out there. It's absolutely free. It's absolutely free. Quaz had said something. What was that? I'll let you say because you said it best. Something about the process. I don't want to mess your words up. What was that? What you said to us?
You have to fall in love with the process because you're going. As long as you believe it, you're going to get to the destination. But it's about the journey of getting there. You got to fall in love with that part, or else you're not going to even get there. So that's the whole thing. You gotta love the process. That's pretty much it. If you don't got it in you and you don't have that fight in you, just hang it up. Just hang it up. Just chill. It's not for you. Like
It's
I
not
think
for
the
your
guy from
mom.
the video had said it. If he could,
Yeah,
it's not
that's
for
our
your
catchphrase. By
that's
the way,
our
it's not for your mom.
catchphrase. It's not for your moms. But the guy from NVIDIA, I think he that owns NVIDIA, he said he was like, if I had to build this startup again, would I do it again? No, you got to be crazy. You have to have a level of insanity because you're going to keep pushing and keep pushing, and people are going to tell you no, and you need to do this. They're going to keep throwing loopholes because they don't want to see you win. And I keep saying they. It's just the outside forces. That's what I mean by they. It's just outside
Yeah.
forces.
Yeah.
And all it is, what's really happening when you conquer all of that, is just really building character. Because at the end of the day, you have to have you got to be of a certain pedigree. And if you have to develop that emotional toughness, that emotional stability, because you hear so many no's, it could get you mad. You could get angry at times, but you got to know, like, all right, I just pivot on this. You got to learn the word pivot. You got to know when to pivot and when to double down. But quit can't be in the vocabulary at all.
Buddy, I love it. You speaking to my heart. I love it. And that's why you guys are sitting where you are today. I learned this a long time ago. It's a phrase, you fail your way to success.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So you fail your way. That means you're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. But you keep going at it to the process and perfecting it, what you learn, you fail your way to success. Now, speaking of that, educators, soup to nuts. I don't know nothing about. I'm listening and I'm watching a Black Executive Perspective podcast right now. Right? I see these brothers on. They telling me they built this. They telling me, I can date on it and I can get some money from it and I can watch it something with my wife or my son or so. So break it down in layman's terms. What is a crew? What's the product? Why people should engage with it, what do they get, and then share with us the beta, because you guys didn't just build it, you tested it at a bunch of colleges. Go ahead and kick it off.
Yeah, so to answer it, like you said, in that format, it's real simple. So like if you look at a crew, we just simplify it like this. So if you think Netflix meets Tinder, but we're smarter, right? So instead of matching people just based on their physical appearance or random swipes, we based it on a particular movie or movie genre. So at the base core, you have a shared interest starting from the inception of a relationship, right? Because at the end of the day, most people are using dating apps and social media in general to see if they can find a spark or connection. So what we did is we simplified it into one application where many of these things are separated. Of course, you have multiple dating apps and it's within a particular space, a genre or whatever. Streaming is streaming, But we just said, okay, what if we just collapsed it, made it into where it's one silo, so that you don't have to jump around trying to get to an end goal, right? Which is finding that connection. And that's what AKCRU is in as a whole. The points and the rewards and all that is the gamification to keep you engaged and also reward you for something that you're basically doing, which is streaming. So as far as where you can find us, well, right now we are in the beta version. Now, we have to have total transparency. A lot of the stuff that we're doing on the app in terms of the content and the licensing, it's all for what you call proof of concept. So that's why we're not in the app stores. We cannot make money on someone else's product, right? If you want to proof of concept to say, here, an investor, press the movie, you see Spider-Man pop up, they get it. You know, we're smart enough. People think, yo, man, why don't you guys just put it in the app store? No, I'm not getting sued. No, you're not going to get a cease and desist letter.
Cease and desist.
You know, from Universal Studios. No. We know the business. So, and that's actually where Pat comes in, is, you know, and I'll let Pat take it from here. That's what he specializes in. And yeah, Pat, you could explain exactly how that plays in.
With that content, we had to, and that was a tough call that we actually had to make too, because we were just like, yo, are we going to move forward? Because getting the content is going to be rough, and, you know, fighting this and fighting that. To say it was hard is an understatement. Pause. It was that's a serious understatement. But, you know, we decided to just move forward. We weren't going to go into the app store. And to further our proof of concept, we had to take it to the college campuses, because, you know, the college kids, that's, you know, our main demographic at this point. So didn't know how I was going to do that. But again, Ann is like a mad scientist. He'll call you or text you at 4 a.m. like, Eureka. And I'm like, here we go. So he has this idea, yo, we're going to go to the college campus, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to give them this, and they're going to win. And I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, usually there's no pushback unless it's like so far gone. I'm like, yo, dude, slow down. But so we took it to the college campuses, and they loved it. And when I say it was a proof of concept, we were actually validated in that moment, because we didn't have to pull and fight the kids. They were coming to us. They were calling their friends. They were bringing everybody down because of the product that we actually, you know, presented to them. All we did was put it out. They came and they ate it up. So, you know, between the movies and the rewards.
We have to stop it, actually. We have to stop it.
Yeah, we had to stop it. We had to stop it and slow them down. Like, yo, that's enough. So, but that's pretty much what it was. Ann came up with the idea. I said, all right, let's go. And we did it. And Quaz wasn't around for the first go around. And he was just like, you sure? He came back, and when he came out with us, he was just like, yo, this is crazy. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
I got to see it.
Let me ask you guys this. So, and obviously the reason you didn't put it out because of a copyright infringes, right?
Right.
So how do you guys overcome that moving forward so it becomes a viable product that you can put out?
That's Pat again.
Yeah, that's simple. You know, that just comes down to funding. You know, we have ties with, you know, with the different production companies. All they want is a paycheck. You know, that's easy. Like, all right, we have money here. Take this money, give us a product. We put it up. We can get into the app store. That's literally the only barrier that we have with the copyright infringement.
Got it.
Just getting the funding.
That's where the funding comes in. Yeah, that's where the funding. Got it. That makes total sense. What is FOH?
That's Forgive Our Honesty. Oh man, that's a whole different beast. That's a show where we designed it for first-time founders. Basically, like, the information that we talk about on FOH is what we wish we had when we first started. It would have saved us a lot of pain and angst, and Optimus always say money. He don't like to hear us talk about the money that we lost built in it. But it's a show designed for first-time founders where we actually talk to angel investors, you know. But the thing about our platform is that it's really a two-sided platform. We're always thinking about it from a business position and not just like a podcast that everybody goes like. So it's like one side you have angel investors, and one side you have first-time founders. And where first-time founders can hear directly from the angel investors what they're looking for, what their thesis is, and things of that nature. And then the angel investors could potentially source a deal from the different startup founders that tune into the show. So it's basically a two-sided platform, and we're sitting in the middle. So almost think about like Shark Tank, but just inverse. Someone asked me a few weeks ago, "Hey, are you guys making money off the deals yet?" We're like, "No, we're not there yet. Right now, we just want to create the relationships, create a safe space, and then we're the host. But we're not just the host. We jump in the middle of the fight too, and we tell you the truth. Like, your product sucks." Well, that's how.
So somebody can, so just so I'm clear here, somebody can watch your show and they can learn all the ups and downs that you guys went through. And then they can do, like Chris was saying, a kind of a Shark Tank, right there. And then they can learn. So you guys are passing knowledge back to the community in terms of how to start a business, how to get funding, what to look for, what you got to prepare for, blah, blah, blah. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, deeper than that. It's not coming from us. It's coming from the actual angel investor telling you.
Right.
Got
Because
you.
the angel investors, they honestly tell us that founders need to flip the paradigm. They need to let the investors know that this is a great idea. This is an opportunity for them instead of them coming to them like with their hands out. It's like, look, this is a great opportunity for you to actually 10x or 5x or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? So it's like flipping the script so that the
Yeah, we
investors,
flipped it.
the investors know that they're getting something in turn. You know?
I love it. I love it. That is awesome.
In the idea of going from here to there, what do you guys vision? And I'm gonna ask you, Patrick. So at one point in time, you went from Orion Pax to Optimus Prime. What do you see as the new future of where you guys are? 3-year, 5-year kind of situation. Is there any visionary strategies or vision board that you have established that you would like to share at this point in time? We don't know why they still jacking y'all stuff, so keep it tight. You know what I'm saying? It's all kind of vultures out there, for real. But what do you see? And then on top of that, what other aspects or angles have you applied, like the black card, to what you guys present?
To start off, we're not worried about anybody stealing our idea right now because we're, everything that we have lined up, by the time you get to where we are, we'll be, light years ahead of you. So we're not even worried about that at this point. In the beginning, yes, but now, no. I like to say this, and again, I'm a movie buff, but I've always said this, and will let you know that AKCRU is Skynet. And if you know anything about the Terminator, AKCRU is Skynet. I don't care what you say, we are taking over. That's how we want AKCRU to be. We're starting off with streaming, but this is something that's actually going to grow into other aspects of life, from streaming and then some. I'm not going to say what else, but this literally is just the beginning. So we really look at this as Skynet. I can't remember the date of Skynet, but that's pretty much it. August. I believe it was August 4th, 2:15 a.m. I don't know, something like that. That's pretty much it. That's the direction that we're going in. We knew that we had to think big. We had to think, bigger than big. Sky's the limit. No, it's universal. It can't be, earthly bound. It has to be all encompassing and just. We don't want anybody to be able to be us. You could try, but you can't be us.
So let me say this though. Do you guys fashion yourself as disruptors, or are you blazing a path? And let me give you 2 examples from a technology perspective. So you have your Steve Jobs, who came to our former company, Tony, AT&T, and he had a vision that we had to build out in order for his vision to actually work. Like, he was so far ahead of his time, it was crazy. and we had to build in order for the ecosystem to catch up to him. And then you have a situation like a Zuckerberg, where it was connecting people. You know, it was just to be cool with people you used to go to school with, and then it kind of organically
morphed into
something that is well beyond what we ever could have imagined in the meta universe. It's a whole universe now. So my question to you is, at that point in time, those folks weren't even in a lane to be disruptive. They were so innovative that they were, you know, outside of the box. Are you guys on the line of the box? Are you in the box? Are you outside? Where are you all over? Like, where are you? Where do you feel like your lane is?
100% outside of the box, because like you mentioned, what Pat said, streaming is just a jumping off point,
Gotcha.
right? This is not a singular medium. If you think about, like, I don't know, there's a certain, I don't even want to call this idiot's name. But
Nah, don't do it.
He has. All right.
Okay. All right. Cool.
But he has a platform. He charges like $4, and that's all it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not us. We are literally going to create a lifestyle, right? It's called LTE, Live to Earn. And that's going to encompass literally every aspect of your waking and walking life. So if you think about, like, Apple, how once you get into their ecosphere, you don't get out. You got the earbuds, the watch, the phone, the pen. That's exactly where we are. We have things planned 4 or 5 iterations down the road before we even officially launch a cruise. So like Pat and Quad said, this way, by the time you even catch up, it's like, that's old. That's old. And we're going to continue to hit different industries. So a crew is not, we might start a streaming, but we're going to continue to go all the way down. And we know every step. There's no guessing. We're never going to get stuck. We're never going to not be innovative. And we're not going to be a crew, the same app for like the last 10, 15 years. You're doing the same thing. Absolutely not.
Understood.
Awesome, buddy. Final thoughts. What do you want to leave the audience? I'm going to start with Quasi. Go ahead, buddy. Tell them what time it is.
Well, I just want them to know that a crew will be in their hands fairly soon. Get ready to share moments that you wouldn't been able to share before. Don't get, and guys, don't give all your money away to these girls on this platform. I just want to let you know.
Oh, they will. They will.
Because we got something called accrue dollars, and don't give it. Because you could just give it away. Yeah, get ready to be able to vibe out with whoever you want to vibe out with. Order food online also. Because we also have that feature inside, to where we have like a Uber Eats, so it's like a Uber Eats mixed with Netflix, mixed with a Instagram, mixed with a Tinder, all together in one.
It's
app.
called Crew Chew, by the way. It's called Crew Chew, by the way.
Crew Chew.
Okay.
So all of that is in.
Y'all like McDonald's. Y'all got the McRib, the McFlurries, y'all everything a crew.
Yeah, everything's a crew.
Buddy, they're gonna need. I got another. You guys probably already have it. I got another product for you. You can sell a dictionary of all the accrued definitions and terms.
Absolutely.
People got to read up on that first before they get involved.
Yeah.
Right?
Y'all got to get E40 on.
Funny thing is,
We actually do have it.
We do have it.
Yeah, you would have to have one, right? It's true. I mean, at the end of the day, right? Patrick, final thoughts, my brother.
As I said, a crew is Skynet, man. We plan on taking over, little by little, one part of your life at a time, from streaming and then some. Just get ready to experience something that hasn't been experienced before. And the beauty of it is everything that you do with the crew, we don't have to teach you how to do. So it's going to make it really easy to integrate into everyone's life. So this is another reason why I say, hey, be ready, because we're going to be everywhere.
Hank, close us out, buddy. Final thoughts.
Yeah, final thoughts, as I would say, is first of all, you got to trust the vision. If nobody else, you have to trust the vision, and then everybody else around you. So I would say get a supporting team. I just happen to have 2 amazing co-founders, but we're actually brothers. So that would be the thing, because it's going to be the tough times. And if you don't have that team that could push you through those tough times, you're going to collapse. And, that's going to be it. From a business standpoint, just go out there and do the damn thing. Don't wait for permission to be successful. Don't wait for somebody to say, oh, this needs to happen, that needs to happen. Go out there and prove it. And if it works, they're gonna cheer for you. So it doesn't matter. And then just from a personal position, just always do what you feel is in your heart. You got to push forward. And then the biggest thing about it, like I said, is just prove it to yourself first before anybody else. That's it. Prove it to yourself first, and then you gotta believe before anybody else does. And the second thing is just, you can't be afraid to go out there. That's why we're on these podcasts. That's why we're building a podcast. Put the message out there that it's possible.
Awesome, my
Hey,
brothers.
here's the truth. If the people don't like it, you'll know when to quit or when to pivot or, do what you need to do. But, just to piggyback off of what Ann said, get out there so the people let you know if you have a good idea or if you don't.
Fail fast.
Cool.
Fail fast.
Fail fast.
For real.
I'm trying not to fail at all. But man, definitely appreciate you brothers coming on and giving that. Like you said, you never know who you may inspire that's 8 years old, 9 years old, see somebody like themselves in you, see a crew come together, might have some buddies. It's been a lot of times, and they say, so many percentage of businesses fail for multiple reasons. But you guys, number one, have humbled yourselves. You done came together and made sure that you didn't step on each other's toes in your talent and wove it together to make sure that you have a good thing that you're passionate about. And I think the world is a confidence game. And y'all seem to have supreme confidence in what you got going on. So I can't wait to see the fruits of the labor and when the things are going to, manifest themselves. If we had to give a generalized launch as far as like brace yourself, are we talking about Q1 2027? Are we talking about, let's put it out there so that way it'll manifest itself. 2026. Okay. All right. So can I get your commitment that you'll come back after launch?
Of course.
If
say I told you so.
If we launch before then, we'll definitely come back.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You guys are definitely gonna come back. We're gonna build a relationship. I've already built a relationship with Ant, so I want to definitely hang with Quasi and Patrick. We're gonna build something with you guys. I love what you guys are doing. You don't know, and again, you guys came on and told your journey, but just seeing you three, it inspires people, right? Because there's a ton of brothers and sisters that's trying to do what you guys are doing. And so I love how you guys are giving back. I love your energy. I love, the camaraderie that you guys have. Don't stop that, because that's part of your winning strategy, believe it or not, right? Yeah, you built it and you did this and you came up with that, but having a connectivity of you three, all right, that's like tissue that's together, that's what people see. Because at the end of the day, you guys know this. There's a lot of products. There's a lot of solutions that are this and that. But at the end of the day, people are buying you, right? They're buying you. They're putting their faith in you because they like you, right? And that's the key to anything. It's really you being you and being likable. So really excited for you guys. We're going to have you back on a Black Executive Perspective podcast soon. Final thing is, how can BEP help you?
By doing this, by giving us a platform to share our story. That's it. We don't know who's going to hear this. And another thing is, I'm glad, and before I go, we are in the process of our next raise, which is our pre-seed round. We're doing that towards the end of the month. So yeah, we're here.
That's awesome, brothers. I love you guys a lot. Patrick, Quaz, Anthony, the co-founders of AKCRU. Make sure you check out their app. What's the website everybody can go to at least get a taste and check you guys out?
AKCRU.com.
Yeah.
AKRCU.com. So just AKCRU.com. AKCRU.
Oh, okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure, because I didn't want it. Maybe there's a crew site, or maybe there's a terminology with the site is called a crew. A crew right. So we just wanted to make sure, right?
Those are members. That's actually members. A crew.
Right.
We have a crew.
The crews. Yeah. So
A crews. I love it.
I love it.
Not only the AKCRU website, check us out on YouTube at Forgive Our Honesty. How could we not say that, guys?
Buddy,
right.
there you go, right? Make sure you say it.
Check us out on Forgive Our Honesty on YouTube. Again, you're going to see our episodes. We just started uploading them. So if you are a first-time founder, we just want to see what is the startup culture and the startup life, check us out at Forgive Our Honesty on YouTube.
Forgive Our Honesty on YouTube. Check these brothers out. They're going to give you a lot of knowledge. They're going to have the angels investors there. You can learn. This is the spot. Love you guys a lot. Ant, Quaz, Pat, you guys stay strong. Stay right there. And I think it's now time for
Tony's Tidbit.
And so the tidbit today, we didn't wait for a seat at the table. We built the damn app and invited the people. Because innovation doesn't come from waiting for permission. It comes from having the courage to start without a blueprint. Startups don't need perfect plans. They need vision, grit, and people bold enough to bet on themselves. And you heard a lot of that from our brothers at AKCRU.
Absolutely. So at this point in the program, we'd like to remind you to tune in to things that we have on our platform, a Black Executive Perspective podcast. And we have Need to Know with Nasinga, where Dr. Nasinga Burton provides poignant insights and crucial commentary on all things that shape our world today. So make sure that you tune in each week to Need to Know with Dr. Nasinga Burton, and she'll give you the game and you'll love it.
Absolutely. And you don't want to miss the next episode of Pull Up, Speak Up, where our roundtable dives into the most provocative topics that's happening into the world today. It's bold, unfiltered voices, sharp perspectives, real talk, a call to action. It's not just an episode, it's a revolution. You don't want to miss it. Pull Up, Speak Up here on the Black Executive Perspective podcast.
One of the hottest things going. And we also want to remind you guys to incorporate our call to action, which is LESS. Our goal is to eliminate all forms of discrimination wherever it may raise its head. And to achieve this, we're asking everyone to embrace less. The L is for learn. Educate yourself on racial and cultural nuances. Expand your palette. Learn how to program in 4 years.
Absolutely. And then after you learn, you have the letter E, which stands for empathy. Now, since you've learned, you can put yourself in your brothers and sisters' shoes because now you have a better understanding of what they're going through.
The first S is for share. Share your insights and enlighten others. Don't hide it, divide it. Use platforms wherever you can to make sure that you expand the knowledge of people around you, so therefore they don't have to go through it all on their own like these brothers are doing here.
Absolutely. And then the final S is stop. Like Chris says, we want to stop all forms of discrimination. So if Auntie Jenny or Uncle Joe say something that's inappropriate at the Sunday dinner table, you say, Auntie Jenny, Uncle Joe, we don't believe that, we don't say that, and you stop it right there. So if everyone can incorporate less, LESS, we'll build a more fair, more understanding world. And we all will see the change that we want to see because less will become more.
Make sure that you check out our previous episodes, all the things that we have before us. Just go out, look at a Black Executive Perspective podcast, sign up for the newsletter, sign up for the website, review us, subscribe, give us suggestions of things we might need to bring to you, because we don't know it all, we just know a whole lot. But where else can they find us, Tony?
Buddy, you can find a Black Executive Perspective podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can follow us on our socials of X, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram at a Black Exec. For our fabulous guests, the co-founders of AKCRU, Anthony, Quasi, and Patrick. For the co-host with the most, my boy down in Dallas, Chris P. Reed. I'm Tony Tidbit. We talked about it. We learned about it. We definitely laughed about it. We're still going to strive about it, and we're going to thrive about it. We love you, and guess what? Now we're out.
A Black Executive Perspective.